It's the Doscinco Project.
Money pouring in, clientele growing down.
With your host, Doscinco.
Let's go!
What up, everybody? You are now tuned into the Doscinco Project, where we talk about business, entertainment, motivation, and mindset. I have a very special guest with us in the building today. He is a licensed realtor in Pennsylvania with years of experience helping sellers create income and opportunities through their assets. He's a developer with several projects under his belt, creating unique and affordable housing through rentals and flips. He personally owns 20 rental units himself, so take notes. My man has a book out called Real Estate 100, the Teen and Millennial Investment Blueprint. And he goes around speaking to communities and schools about finding their financial freedoms. Everybody, please welcome Anthony Lee. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. Thank you for coming, man. I think this is very important because, number one, I love real estate, right? I love real estate, but you're a young individual generating income through 20 rental properties, but you started back in 2014, right?
Right.
So explain this process, how you got to real estate.
So it's funny. So for me, I've always had an entrepreneur mindset. I just didn't know how I was going to get there, right? So for me, back in the day, one of my cousins pulled up to a family gathering, Thanksgiving, I think it was, in a Maserati. And I'm like, yo, how you get this? You know, I'm thinking you got to be a rapper. And I'm like, this cousin in particular, I'm like, yo, he don't sell drugs. So it's like, how he get this? And he was like, man, I go to work and I got cribs. I'm like, what you mean you got cribs? Took me in a car, rolled me around, showed me. He was like, this building pay this building pay that. And I was like, you kidding me? He was like, yo, read the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Ever since I read that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I was turned up.
Opened your eyes.
Look, and the next thing you know, now it's like, all right, how can I get there? But I thought you needed a lot of money to get into real estate to be successful, and you needed all these things, and come to find out, I didn't need most of that stuff. You just need to know how and know how to put the pieces together.
Gotcha.
Once you realize how to put the pieces together, whether you got friends, family, resources, or credit, next thing you know, it's just off to the races. It's just opportunity.
Wow.
So, so that was, like I said, that was in college when I first got the idea, but then after college, I got a job, did what mom and dad said do, go to college, get a job, get some benefits. Eventually you'll wake up and, you'll be successful, or you'll be able to retire.
Right.
But I was at the job maybe for a year, maybe. Coming out of college, I got laid off New Year's Day.
Wow.
So from that point, New Year's Day, me getting laid off, once I got out my feelings about it, listening to Eric Thomas tapes and different things, it was like, go after your dreams. So next thing I know, I go get my real estate license, or attempt to get it. But my struggle in it was I couldn't pass the test. It took me 10 times to pass the test. So, eventually I passed the test, and ever since I passed that test, it's been feet to fire, and I've been just pushing, trying to make it happen.
Wow.
And, I struggled in the beginning. I was a good sales agent, but I didn't, at the time, I think I only owned one property. So for the people who don't know, your first property, you can use a government loan called FHA. That FHA property, you only need 3.5% down. And back then when I bought this house, duplex rather, it was only $80,000. So I only came to the table with $4,500.
$4,500 for $80,000. Wow.
And the cool thing is the mortgage was $600. The tenant on the first floor, rent was $600. I lived in the second floor for like a year, and then after the year I moved back in my mom's back bedroom where I grew up at. Now I'm getting $700 on the second floor. And then once I started doing that, it was like, wait, so I own the house, they go to work every day, they pay me on the first of the month every month in order to live in my property? What? Wait. And then I could get more properties after this? And just keep doing it. And from there, again, it was just off to the races.
That's crazy. So do you have like a particular goal every year to say, okay, I want to acquire 2 additional properties, or like, do you have any kind of formula?
So in the beginning, I struggled with having that vision. That's what you're talking about, having a vision and also knowing what your number is. So for anybody that wants to get into real estate, you want to have a goal in mind, because it's not always going to be easy, and you're going to struggle. And if you fall short of the goal, you're going to need motivation to know, all right, I need to do 2 more whatever I'm doing to make up for this loss I just took. Or I need to just adjust this because this is why I fell short of my goal. So overall for me, I'm trying to get to being able to make $12,000 passively every month. That's my goal now that I'm married, I got kids. Before, I just wanted to make the money because I thought I wanted a Maserati.
Right.
And, you know, I wanted to just be living a life and out in the street. And that's really where a lot of people blow all their money. You make the money, but the money don't have no purpose.
Right.
So you never really appreciate it, or it don't change your life because the money don't got no purpose. So, you know, for me, my goal is now I'm trying to do at least one flip a year. If I could do one flip a year and make 50 grand, I'm good.
Okay.
That take care of the bulk of my expenses for the year. Outside of that, I need to buy 2 rentals a year, 2 to 3 rentals. And, you know, I could do a flip. I could do 2 to 3 properties at a time. So for me, if I could do that one flip starting in January, February, it'd be sold by June, July. Part of that money with kids and the family, we go on a big vacation.
You better talk heavy.
The rest of that money is going to go do some other things in the house.
Okay.
But now I'm using the other part of that money to go buy these other properties that are rentals, and we going to get a check every month. My goal is if I can make anywhere from, just say on a bad property, but for whatever reason I bought it, if I'm at least making $200 off that property, it's adding to my number to get me to the big number.
Gotcha.
And then my goal is if I can make anywhere from $400 to $500 from that building, I'm really getting closer to my number even better. But again, every deal is going to be different. So sometimes, like I had last year, in this past year, I purchased a 6-unit apartment building, my first apartment building. I bought another duplex near Temple Hospital, and I bought 2 single families. I flipped one single family, kept the other one. But interest rates spiked up crazy.
Yep.
So when I bought them, I'm looking at rates at 4%, 5%. Then by the time I get done the buildings, rates is 7, 8% going crazy.
Wow.
So, you know, that cash flow that initially I thought I was getting, it got eaten up a little bit. But we still cash flowing.
Gotcha.
We just not cash flowing as heavy. So now I got to double up to make up for what I didn't do,
Right.
you know, when I thought I was going to be hitting the number from the mother cribs. So it's really just knowing what it is you're trying to do and then map it out. On average, a house take 4 to 5 months to rehab. If you're doing houses you need to rehab.
Yep.
Some people don't buy houses that need rehab. You just paint, clean them up, rent them.
Okay.
But for me, most of mine need new bathrooms, kitchens. That's why I buy them cheaper than other people because I want them messed up.
Gotcha.
And, you know, so if I could turn these houses over every 3 to 4 months, again, it's just scaling and putting a system in place.
Wow, I love that. What would you say, right? Because you have a lot of students. You just have a lot of people that, you know, the pandemic really messed them up. Out of the job, you know, out of job, out of work, you know, PPP loans, you know, all that craziness, right? What would you say to someone that is down on their luck, financially ruined pretty much, right? Credit's all shot. What would you say the first thing they should do, or what would you say the process would be in order for them to hopefully be in your shoes one day?
So I love that question, right? So I tell people, regardless of my credentials, I still was figuring this out. It wasn't no blueprint like people have now because of the pandemic. You got all these gurus on social media.
Yes.
I mean, and I'll be honest, shameless plug. If you go to my Instagram, A-Lee Real Estate, hit the link in my bio. I have courses also that are affordable for you to learn the blueprint to most of this stuff.
Right.
But if you just starting out and like, yo, I ain't got no money, no resources, I'm saying at bare minimum, just be of service to somebody else. If you can be of service to somebody else, whether they do demo, whether they cut grass, pick up leaves, whatever it is that's going to get you in the door, do that because being of service don't cost you nothing.
Right.
You don't need no money to be of service. And now if you're of service to somebody else, they're going to put you in position, or eventually you're going to be able to connect the dots.
Gotcha.
And from there, so I'll just use real estate for example. If it's somebody like me or somebody else, figure out what it is that person needs. Like for me, I'm busy. I don't have time to go look at 20 houses every day all the time, right? You might be the person to go look at the houses, and now it's like for every house you look at, you get $25. Or the cheat code, we talked about this earlier, wholesaling. Be a wholesaler. You got people in your community you know that need some money, got properties they're not doing nothing with, or they're not taking care of it. But you know, myself or somebody else that's able to buy the property, bring the deal to somebody else. Like a lot of people get caught up trying to keep the money and the deals to themselves.
Right.
Every deal ain't going to work for you, or you can't buy everything, but you still can make money. So if you make a quick $5,000 just for connecting the dots. I had a lady at my wife's job told my wife about a house on her mom's block. I gave her $1,000 because I didn't buy it. My client bought it.
Wow.
So you just made a text message or talk to somebody while you was already at work getting paid on a 9 to 5, and I hit you 3 weeks later with $1,000.
And you know what she gonna do next time? She looking for more houses for you. Like, where can I generate more thousands of dollars?
Right. So again, being of service.
Right.
You know, and next thing you know is like, wow, like all I had to do was do that. That's all you had to do.
Wow, that's how. I mean, that's how I technically started through the wholesale process, you know. And it was literally like creating money out of thin air, man. It's moving paper, connecting the dots, like you said. What would you say? Okay, I love the wholesale topic, right? In Philadelphia right now, there's a lot of regulation happening with wholesale, and you know, it was the Wild Wild West, right? Unfortunately, shady characters is why we have the regulations that we have
Right.
today. What would you say the state of wholesaling is today in Philadelphia? Do you think it's still thriving? Do you think it, you know?
So it's honestly is always going to thrive because
Okay.
it's certain red tapes that the red tape can't get around.
Right.
But at the same token, and I'm gonna be honest, you want to legitimize your business with everything you do. So I initially tried the wholesale, but I wasn't good at it, right?
Yep.
When I first started doing real estate, because I'm like, I wanted to avoid getting my real estate license.
Right.
I made more money once I got my real estate license as an agent and a wholesaler because the opportunities come because I'm licensed and I can full-fledged promote my business because I'm not hiding from nobody.
Gotcha.
So I don't care if you in trucking, you a painter, there's a certification or some type of credentials for anything you want to do that's worthwhile. So I tell people, honestly, the education part and getting that paperwork is what's going to separate you and make you the bigger dog compared to the smaller dogs. I don't care if you wholesale, agent, contractor. Most contractors in the city don't have a general contractor's license. I'm a general contractor, but I'm not a contractor.
Wow.
But now I can hire the real contractors because they don't want to do no paperwork and get licensed.
Wow.
Now they paying me for something for them to do for their livelihood.
Right, right.
So it's like, please get your paperwork in order, and that's really, I don't care what you're doing, that is really how you separate yourself. So and that's why I talk to the kids at the schools and stuff. Like, you don't gotta like school, but that paperwork is gonna separate you from making $10, $12 an hour to making $20, $25 an hour.
Facts.
$30 an hour. And for real, my first mentor person that I got my real estate start from, he chose to mentor and work with me because I had my college degree, not because of what my degree was in,
Yep.
because he said it showed discipline that I could complete and follow through on something.
Wow. Okay.
Most
Gotcha.
people don't follow through when it gets
True.
tough. Most people don't want to do the necessary steps if they don't know it's going to benefit them in the end.
Yeah, that makes sense.
My degree in early child elementary education, nothing to do with real estate.
But you're in the schools now.
So that part, yes.
It all connects.
Yes,
It
yes.
all connects.
And I do presentations in general, which I get from the teaching concept.
Right.
Yes.
And you know your audience, so you can talk to the young kids. You can talk to the adults as well.
Which is why
Because
I
of
wrote the
that.
book, Teen and Millennial Investment Blueprint.
Where can people access that book?
You could get it on Amazon, or again, if you hit the link in my bio at A. Lee Real Estate, the book is also on there.
So the book, can you explain, like give us an overview of what it, what's entailed?
So shout out to my partner who I wrote the book with, co-author Lisa Porto. She's in California, so she wrote the original book, teaching kids how to purchase just a regular house, just buy a house for you and your family, right? So I took her book and did the second version, and I'm teaching people, once you buy that first house, but now how do we buy that investment property? So now the investment property pays for the first house.
Gotcha.
But I'm doing it from a concept of breaking it down to basic elementary school terms, middle school terms, where, again, if I can teach your kid to do this, your kid can teach you, the parent or the adult. So that's basically the
That's
blueprint
dope,
to it.
man. Everybody make sure y'all go on Amazon, click on his link, buy the book. Believe me, share it with your kids. You don't want to get yourself involved with real estate, share it with your kids. Your kids will make the money. They put, they put you where they put you after they make their money.
Right.
So, who are some of your mentors in the real estate game?
That's a tough one because there's going to be a few people probably going to be like, yo, you forgot me. But I'll just say along the way, and I tell people it's tough, right? So I didn't come from a family where people were doing real estate. I had one cousin, he was doing real estate. His side of the family taught him, right?
Okay.
But on our side, most of my immediate family were, people with 9-to-5s, or it was a few people that was, doing stuff creatively. I'll just say that.
Right.
So for me to figure out how to get here, I basically was going to networking events. So that's one thing I love about college. It taught me how to network and just go and be in different rooms and not be uncomfortable. Just being able to listen.
Right.
Introduce yourself. That goes a long way, right? So I was going to these events called DIG, Diversified Investment Group. At least that's what they was calling it back then. So I was going to that, and then I was going to Philly Meetup and all these other events, just going to different real estate events. And along the way, like I said, I had the person that first gave me my first start, Chirag Patnick. He was one of the people that mentored me and taught me some game. He was a heavy wholesaler back in the day, so I learned about systems and how to negotiate with people. That was one person. Who else? Then I got a cousin, Thax. He taught me about real estate. And then he's like a brother to me, honestly, Greg Loper. So he was my barber initially. So remember I was telling you about, you learning from different people, walks of life.
Right.
He was like, yo, I'm cutting here, but I own a couple cribs. These houses pay for me, and whether I'm in a barbershop or not, I make a couple dollars. But so he was teaching me how to rent rooms.
Okay.
So initially, I'm like, all right, I see how you could do this. Now you don't need as many houses because you literally just need more rooms in the houses. But that's a whole different beast and animal,
right,
compared to if you just rent out the one house to a family.
Right.
So, you
think the turnover is pretty high when you're renting out rooms? Or you think it's mainly to a specific type of audience like student housing?
Right. So, and we'll talk about that. So I learned I didn't like the around the way version of renting rooms where you pay by the week.
Gotcha.
So if you're going to rent rooms, to me, again, everything needs a system and a criteria. Regardless if you're dealing in the hood, the suburbs.
Right.
Everybody need food, water, shelter.
Yes.
So like with rooms, I have a criteria because I do rent rooms in 2 of my buildings.
Okay.
For some reason, my multifamily is like the higher floor units.
Yep.
The turnover is high. I guess they don't like walking up the steps.
Oh, gotcha.
So I rent rooms out of them units normally. So my third floors, I rent rooms. So what I do is I make you pay a security deposit, and you got to pay the rent for the month. Anybody that can't pay for a month's worth of rent, I don't want you. Yep. Now I avoid the turnover. So I still do month-to-month leases, but I'm just not dealing with you on a weekly basis. If you got to piecemeal me your rent, that's too much work for me. I didn't get into real estate for properties to be chasing and sweating you over $100 here, $200 here.
Absolutely.
So with that criteria, it weeds out half of those people. And most of the people I rent rooms from, they got jobs. Or they're older people who get a fixed income, and they set their money up.
Right.
Cigarettes, alcohol, food.
Oh, all day.
My rent.
Yep.
And they go about their business.
Gotcha.
And then in the course of the process, I met a few other people, Dan Harvey, Dan the Real Estate Man, Tracy Powell, Malik, Coach Carter. It's so many people I met along the way, but I've learned different things that they're doing, and then I try to implement what they're doing to see what works for me.
I love it.
And then the only thing I caution people, you're going to learn and hear different people's philosophies, but honestly, it's 12 different ways for you to do this real estate thing, and not one way necessarily works for you. We all got different personality types. We all like different ways to operate. We all got things that make us tick. So it's like once you figure out what makes you tick and works for you, stick to it. And regardless of what this person is doing, you got to walk your path.
I love it.
So that's where like I've also learned now, like rooms are cool, but in the long run, the rentals of multifamily, whether you do duplex, triplex, 4-unit, like I said, I just did my first 6-unit, which was a blessing. But you're not going to find 6 units, 10 units all the time, depending on the city you live in. So, again, you kind of got to do what's in front of you, and you might have to do the ground where I got to do 5 houses, single families this year.
Okay.
It still equals 6 more doors.
Right.
It's just multiple sites.
Gotcha. That's smart.
What
do you think about the state of Philadelphia right now as it pertains to the real estate market?
So it's a beautiful market, I'll say that. Philly is still plenty of opportunity. The challenge is the legislation in regards to dealing with tenants and the laws is tough. For some reason, like you said, the PPP money, the SBA money, it got people messed up. They think they don't got to pay rent.
Right.
It's like regardless of what you standing on and your principle's going to have you homeless at some point.
Right.
And that's honestly why I don't even argue with the tenants no more. It's like, listen, I got somewhere to stay.
Right.
I know I paid my mortgage this month. But if you ain't paid me or you ain't fixed this situation, whether it's now or 6 months from now, even if it's a year from now, eventually you're going to have to go because you don't own that piece of property.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's not a knock, but it's a situation of if y'all got a dispute, communicate it. Communication to fix most of this stuff. Take the ego out, take the attitude out, communicate it.
Right.
Because it's something that need to be fixed. Communicate it.
Take the attitude out, though. You know what I'm saying? And this is what bothers me, right? You got an attitude with me because you living in my property and you refuse to pay me. Don't none of that make
It's
sense.
the entitlement. So
Right.
that's why I say the communication and the legislation, because they're also putting things in place where you can't evict like you used to. So some landlords is like, I'm going back to the old school ways, and that comes with different stuff. But honestly,
My uncle do that. I don't mean to put you out there.
It's cool.
I got multiple uncles.
right.
I
Well,
got
it's
uncles that do that.
Uncle, it's all good. But that's what I'm saying. Like, but it's
Right.
But I learned them tactics, and them tactics come with other issues.
Yes, they do.
So when you start building and scaling, you like, man, it ain't even worth it. Like,
Yeah.
I'll pay you to leave.
Right.
That's how much you don't understand. I tell like, you're a tax write-off at the end of the day. I'll take the L, but you just helping my taxes.
Right.
So at the end of the day, what point are you proving by not paying me, and you still need somewhere to go?
Gotcha.
When all it is a conversation. Even if you fall, I got some tenants that fall short because they got a situation. Communicate the situation. If it's really a situation, you'll communicate.
It's understandable too.
But if you because we in this business also to provide and help people. It's not just about the money. Right. But at the same token, if you excuse after excuse and it's this and that, man, it's tough. But I would say overall, Philly is great. It's plenty of opportunity. It's a lot of people coming here from out of town, from other places that what you could buy here, you could buy 6 of it versus you in San Francisco, you only could buy 1.
Right.
Your money go a lot longer in Philadelphia.
Do you think that's always going to be the case? Because I remember, in my old neighborhood, you talking about $10,000 properties, $5,000 properties. Now those same properties,
40, 50.
40, 50,
If you're lucky.
even over 200,000.
Yes. So the numbers are changing, yes. But in addition to the numbers changing, I mean, people's income is changing where they can afford this stuff. So
True.
granted, there's some people who can't, but it's like a win-lose situation where if you don't evolve with the times, eventually you're going to, fall behind.
Gotcha.
So, and that's why, again, it's important to have real estate, because regardless of what I do for my 9 to 5 or what my primary source of income, with the real estate, I could buy something now and 15 years from now, like you said, it's only going to appreciate.
Yep.
Even in a bad market, like, all right, it went from last summer, these houses was selling for $300, $350. Now they back down to $200, $250.
Yep.
But if I had it for 15, 20 years,
At 50,000.
I'm still in the green.
Good. Yep.
Right. So that's why, again, it's important to make your money work for you and let your money keep growing for you. This way, again, there's only but so many hours in a week I can work. There's so many jobs I can do to really live the life that I want to live, or to take that pressure off me. And again, that's why I'm an advocate for, no, keep that 9 to 5, but use that money to invest in real estate with your credit, or even if you got a partner.
Yep.
Because I do deals where I partner. Like my deals early on, I had nothing but partners because I was trying to figure it out. Once I figured it out, now I pick and choose what kind of partnerships I want to do.
Right.
It got to be beneficial for all of us. So now I do some stuff by myself. I do some stuff with partners. And again, now that's why I was able to do just 10 units in 1 year, because I'm not stretching everything on my own.
I love it. Love it. How do you finance these particular properties? Well, first and foremost, before we get into that, right, how do you analyze a deal, and how do you know if it's a good deal?
So I'm going to give you the easy version of it, right?
Okay.
So when it comes to flips, right, you want to know, like, look, if I buy this house if I get this house and renovate it 6 months from now, let me look at the houses that sold within like the 2-3 block radius right now.
Yep.
On a bad day, for whatever price I'm buying it for, whatever price I'm rehabbing it for, is it enough spread for what the houses sell for?
Okay.
So for instance, if you buy it for 50, I put 100 into it, I sell it for 250.
Yep.
Is that enough spread for me to make my number?
Got you. And what other fee, like say for instance, right, you buy it for 50, let's just say you put 100 into it, so now you add 150 all in, and the ARV is 200,000, which means you're going to make 50,000 off of that. What other fees, what other things should I account for that 50,000?
So out of that 200, you probably gonna lose 15 grand off the top.
Okay.
Just in fees to resell it.
Yep.
Agent fees, transfer, title, whatever.
Okay.
That's if you lucky. Because we ain't even talk about the other stuff that come in it, but just keep you basic. So that's why if we was in for 150 and had to sell it for 200, I wouldn't be excited about that.
Gotcha.
I would need it to be at 250. So I'm saying when you flip it, then on top of that, now let's just talk about your profit. Uncle Sam.
Oh, yeah. How much off the bat?
I think for his tax, when you flip it under a year, is like 35% or 25%.
Wow. That's like employment income. Income tax.
So now, next thing you know, you were supposed to make 45. Now you're really only making 30, if you're lucky.
Gotcha.
And that's if everything goes smooth. So but again, if you a person that got a 9 to 5 and I'ma just say you comfortable, an extra 30, how much more comfortable would that make you?
That's beautiful.
And you did that while you was at job because you paid contractors to do the work.
Yep. Yep.
So you ain't really, it's extra money.
It's
Now
extra
you're not
money.
relying on, to your point, my tax return every year. We
Right.
ain't even thinking about that.
Right.
Now that you got other ways to create money, you ain't, I can't wait tax season.
Everybody, yeah, and then the thing is, they don't even realize y'all so busy. Look at this camera because I always look at the camera every time I go to the episodes, right? Y'all so busy worrying about the tax returns, you don't even realize you overpaid the government, which is the reason why you get your tax refund. It's a
Right.
refund for a reason.
And they used your money to flip it into other stuff all that time.
all the time.
So, but like you said, these are the things that we're not taught in our communities. So it's kind of tough. So it's not our fault per se, but it's our fault for not eventually understanding it or even trying to learn it.
Gotcha.
So it's like once you learn that, it's like, dang. And that's why I tell my tenants, like, I'm not tripping on it. I'm mad about the rent. I had to pay this mortgage this month because you ain't do your part. But at the same token, I'll get it back now on the back end.
Gotcha.
But it's you that's helping me get it back.
Right. Absolutely.
So but again, now I get it back in different scales because the properties, all the tax benefits. And then when we talk about rental properties, so you want to take the same formula for the rental properties, right? Buy it for 50, put 100 into it. It's worth 250. Then you're going to refinance that property, pay the 150 back, and get what they call a stable mortgage. You're basically a mortgage with a 30-year basic mortgage, right? I'm going to just say your mortgage is going to be $600. Hopefully your rent is $1,200.
Okay.
You got the spread between the 6 and the 12. But then don't forget, you probably got to take money out because in that mortgage, the 600 is just the mortgage. You still got taxes, property insurance, and then you want to also leave just a little bit of money to put to the side for an emergency. So some
Gotcha.
people, they call it vacancy, an emergency, renovation, whatever. So if you're lucky, you might make the $300-$400 a month out of the $1,200.
Gotcha.
But at least the building pays for itself. Because again, not every building is going to be something that you put money in your pocket immediately. You might just be buying it because of the equity play down the line.
Right.
But now if you get in the cash flow and the equity, you got a double bubble. It's a win-win.
You getting me motivated, man. You getting me motivated, man. I love it. I love it. So okay. So you spoke about analyzing the deal. How do you get it financed now?
So that's where, knowing what I know now, I'm telling you, if you the person just starting out, buy a house for you and your family. That's where you get started. FHA, conventional, basic loans, buying it in your personal name, right? Because once you go to the investment side, they want to know one of the things they ask you is, what is your experience? And that experience question goes a lot further than it is how much money you have.
Gotcha.
Because if you got the experience and the deal is good enough, they got deals where you could get funded 100% of the purchase price, 100% of the rehab price.
Wow.
But that's only available if you got the experience. So how do you get the experience?
Okay.
You buy that first house for you and your family, because now that teaches you the process of understanding how financial documents work.
Yep.
Teaches you the process of being disciplined, of getting from the start to finish of a home buying situation. If you're a person don't have a big family or it's just you starting out, again, I thought, when you was in high school, by the time I'm 25, I'm going to have a house, the BMW. Then you realize, the money don't come that easy.
Yeah.
But what'll get you there starting out, buy that duplex. Like I said, my first property was a duplex. You can live somewhere and the biggest expense to your life, which is housing, is cut because somebody else lived in the building with you. But they don't live in your space. They live in their own space.
Right.
Buy the duplex, buy the triplex. So you might have your mortgage paid for in full, or if you only got to put in $400 towards your mortgage and your household expense, that's still a win.
Absolutely.
It's still a win.
Absolutely. Especially with the way the rents are now, where, typical rent used to be like $600-$700. Now it's
Same
$1,200,
one bedroom.
$1,300.
One bedroom. And that's why Philly, again, is a great place to rent and buy.
Yep.
And then once you get past that first one, and for real, I don't care if you in position credit-wise financially, I feel like everybody should have an LLC just ready to go.
Gotcha.
You want to have your business set up regardless of if you're ready to start the business, because the other thing that they look for, the banks to get the funding.
Yep.
How long has the business been open? Then they ask you how much the business has made. But just because the business has been open, I'm going to just say for 2 years, you're eligible for a business credit card and a business line of credit, regardless of how much the business makes. So
Yeah, I
like-
got 2 LLCs, and I think I took out business credit cards on those within 6 months. Got like 30 to 50,000 off of
So
that
they'll
joint.
give you the credit cards just because the business is open, but
Yep.
the line of credits, you're not eligible till you get 2 years.
Gotcha, that's smart.
But now you just think about this. You got 2 LLCs. You have the money that you saved up. Now you got 2 LLCs. This one LLC, I'm going to go get this credit card for $25,000. This other LLC, I got $25,000.
Gotcha.
So I might have 10 in cash and 50 grand in credit. That's enough to go buy a few houses.
Okay, explain that, right? So, listen. Okay, so now, my bad, y'all, but I'm speaking for my own personal reasons now. You hear me? Okay, so I have, let's just say I got 30,000 on a credit card, and it's tied to my real estate LLC that I use for the wholesale business, right? And let's just say, like you said, I got 10,000 in cash. How can I pull out of that particular credit card? Yeah, along with the cash. To make it
So
happen?
you got multiple ways. So the beauty of having an LLC, you duplicated multiple social security numbers, but on the business side, we call it an EIN, right?
Yep.
So now I'm going to either have a PayPal account or a Square account in one of the other LLCs or my personal name, and I'm going to send that LLC an invoice and pay it with the credit card. So that company that you swipe the card on, they going to take their little fee.
Right.
We don't care about that. Cost
Right.
of doing business. Everything costs. People be trying to nickel and dime the
All
fees.
day.
But listen, the 20 grand didn't cost you nothing, or however much
Right.
you got on the credit card.
Yep.
So if you had to pay to get the money off, you gonna get it back when you bring the money back
Right.
with the deal.
pay-
If you do it right.
Right, right.
So
Now
I-
don't go out there doing that, and then next thing you know don't know how you're going to recoup those funds, or you don't know how you're going to sell that real estate and all of that stuff. Don't mess up, because now you liable for 20, 30 grand.
So problem is, in the beginning, I got excited I got the money, and that's what took me so long to really be able to scale.
Got you.
So it's like when if you ain't had money, especially large sums of it, and you like, you know what? I got this 10 grand, but I'm gonna spend 5 of it on me.
right.
But I spent it on stuff that ain't bring me no money back. So now I'm liable for the 5. Then I got the other 5, I'm gonna use it to go make me more money. But every time you do that, it don't always make you back the money, or you fall short.
Got you.
So now you owe the bank.
Yep.
Now you got this bill.
Now you in the hole.
So that's why it's really important to be disciplined. And I got to shout out my girl, Rachel Hannibal, at Pep Talks on social media.
Okay.
She's a financial coach. She teaches a lot of the youth about it, but she teaches the adults. And it's like, once you realize what the money is for, that's why it's important to know what it is you're trying to do and stay locked in on that target. Don't get distracted, and don't get caught up trying to keep up with the Joneses. I said I was young. I'm a young black male. You know, I ain't had no kids at the time. I want to flex. I want to floss. So I like the nice things in life.
Yeah.
Y'all gave me a credit card or a line of credit, no questions
I'm gonna
asked.
tear that joint up.
I had 3 cars at one time,
3 cars.
just because.
Just because. And then think about it, right? Social media has really jammed it up now, because now you catching up with not just the Joneses, but the Smiths, the Johnsons, the Rodriguezes, everybody. Everybody
And you
that
can
look like
see
they
'em.
got money.
You could see they look like it.
There you go.
And I'm a person now, I ain't gonna lie. If I catch you on social media, depending on what you look at, what you take your picture,
Yep.
I ain't looking at what you got on. I look at the room you in.
Yes.
I'm looking at the area, the indoor outdoor carpet you got in your living room.
Yep.
I'm looking at the kind of baseboard you got, because now I can tell if you're really balling
Right.
just by your surroundings.
Yep.
You know, so that's why that stuff don't impress me. Yeah, you look good, but let's go back to your house and see how you live in is the mattress on the floor, or you got a box spring? Like, what's up?
Let's go to your paneled walls, okay? Let's go
Right.
to your velvet colored
Right.
rugs.
Or I'm looking, is your outlets in the baseboard, or are they 3 feet from the baseboard?
Right.
You know.
So what is your ultimate goal? So obviously you said make $12,000 a
month.
month, right? $12,000 a month passive income. By the way, when you're acquiring these rental properties or these units, are you specifying them like towards a specific like bill, or like, okay, this is gonna pay for my kids' education?
Right. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm just getting to that part of the comfort, right?
Gotcha.
So initially it was I needed every dollar just for whatever.
Right.
So now, yes, it's like, all right, when I see this property, I can use this to pay for the kids' tuition, or I can use this to pay for these trips that I want to go on. Or I'm using this property just to pay my student loans.
Okay.
But yeah, so primarily, again, you want your money to have a purpose. So each property has a purpose. If you want this certain car, buy the house first. Once you get 2 of those houses, the second house is what really pays for the car, not the first one.
Gotcha.
Because something might happen.
Right.
So you want to be able to pay for everything, and then with the extra, if it's extra, the second house is what pays for that BMW, that Audi, whatever it is you want.
Smart.
But it's never the first thing you initially think it is.
Right. Always have your tenants pay for all that stuff. There you go.
I wish somebody would have told me earlier.
Yeah, I wish they would have told me that early too, man.
And again, everybody ain't meant to be a landlord, and I get that. I got a property manager. I don't talk to the tenants anymore. I try not to, at least.
Gotcha.
But you can't come into the Trump Towers and talk to Trump.
It's true. You're right.
You can't go to Steak 48 and talk to the owner. You got a complaint.
Yep.
So they shouldn't be talking to you. Policies and procedures for any big business, small business, is really how you set yourself up to win.
Gotcha.
And again, I'm learning a lot of these things as I've been growing and getting in different rooms, and I'm realizing I ain't like being a landlord because I ain't had no systems and no policies and procedures. When my tenants sign a lease, I got a whole 2-page behind the lease coming up where this is what happens if you move anybody in the property. This is what happened if you damage the windows. This is what happened if I have to send a plumber because you're putting tampons, baby wipes, flushable things,
right,
or your kid's putting his Legos in the toilet.
Mm-hmm.
This is what happens. It's all in black and white. Thing is, you got to just take the time out, and I get it. All of us might be in, some people might be in a situation where life is coming at you fast. You feeling the pressure. You frustrated. But I promise you, you already frustrated. If you can sit still for a few more minutes and put the play on paper,
yep,
you will scale twice as fast as the next person.
Gotcha.
Because you put the pieces in the systems in place. And like you said about the funding, oh my goodness, the funding is all about paperwork.
Yep.
So again, if you got all your ducks in a row, yesterday I went to a bank. I walked into the bank with everything I needed. I'm just waiting for the approval for another business credit card.
Wow.
I hit 2 banks up this week.
That's dope, man. That's dope.
So hopefully this week a $50,000 week just in business credit.
My man 36 years old, y'all. He started 2014, less than 10 years ago. You understand? Anything's possible if you put your mindset to it. He has 20 properties, and he's going to continue to elevate that. And y'all got to understand that it is possible. Where did you grow up?
So I tell people, I'm a hybrid of, I grew up in Yaton, that's where I grew up at, but I went to school in Philly. So I went to West Catholic High School. All my friends and family basically from West Philadelphia and Southwest.
Gotcha. What did you experience any kind of hardships, being in the city, period, like just overall?
So I'll tell you, my household was the typical household. Mom and dad worked a 9 to 5, life come fast, so it's going to be stuff that happens, good, bad, or indifferent. So, I wasn't a kid that went without, but I wasn't a kid that I had Jordans and all the cool things that all the cool kids had all the time.
And every time you looked at your relatives, I mean, obviously your mom and dad, they were, hardworking people, 9 to 5, things of that sort. So you didn't really have a lot of entrepreneurs besides the individual that showed you that they owned all those real estate properties.
So from the entrepreneur part, I will say, so shout out to my dad.
Yep.
So I started with him, honestly, like at 7. He used to go to New York and buy clothes. So he was selling clothes at the barbershop and hair salons. And
Canal Street?
I don't know where he was going.
I knew where some of my relatives was going.
I just know him and my
Street.
uncle was shooting up there every week getting clothes, the Fila sweatsuits, them shiny sweatsuits back in the day. So that was where I first got introduced to transactions. I'm going to just say transactions, right? And then as I got older, my dad put me on with him washing cars.
Okay.
So it was like, again, you have a service, you get paid.
Yep.
So again, I didn't know I was being introduced to it. It's just different levels to entrepreneurship.
That's true.
So when again, in the inner city, we learn to make money fast in today. But when you go to Havertown, Lower Marion, they have services that have businesses and people in place to run the businesses.
Right.
That's, again, the levels to I can make money today, but can I sustain and make money 3 years, 5 years from now?
And also, while you're on vacation for 2 weeks or a month, does it sustain itself?
Yo, I just came back from Disney with the family, We went, came back. It was around the first of the month. Come back, the mail is in. Check the mail. You got them rent checks there.
There you go. There you go.
So again, like you said, putting those things in place.
And your property management team or company dealt with all of that.
While I
just
was
sent
away.
you the checks.
Right. Well, they just come automatically. Yep.
What does your team look like now as far as real estate?
So one, I don't know if I told everybody, I'm a licensed agent with Mosaic Real Estate Group. I'm sorry, Mosaic Real Estate Group down at 32nd and Cecil B. Then I have my own team called the Good Neighbor Real Estate Team.
Okay.
So we're a team of 9 of us.
Okay.
We're licensed in Pennsylvania, Jersey, Delaware, and Maryland.
Nice.
So sales and real estate transactions, that's my team. It consists of all African-American males and females. Some of them have jobs. Some of them work full-time.
Okay.
So we constantly out here working, networking, and we service the community to help them get housing. And we work with investors trying to also get into the real estate game or grow their business. But then as far as my personal team, I have the partners that I work with that they fund some of my deals. So I have funding partners. Then I also have my property manager. She's the day-to-day person, the person that deals with the nuances of the tenants, leases, any issues, any emergencies. So shout out to her for that. And then I also have my handyman / contractor. So he works with us. He's been with us maybe like for 2 years now. Okay. Contractors are another story for another day. But shout out to my guy.
I got a story myself, but I ain't gonna say it.
Right. Yeah. No, I got that's what another reason why it took me so long to get the game to scale. Okay. Because I wasn't hiring the right contractors.
Gotcha.
Got burnt for $25,000.
Wow.
So it could hurt you, but again, it's like you just because you got credit and other things in play, you just bounce back.
Absolutely.
You make the adjustments. But that's my team. My accountant, any business you want to have an accountant, that's hands down going to be a saving grace. A lot of the funding things you need an accountant because you need that paperwork.
Yep.
Accountant. And other than that.
What about a lawyer?
So I don't have a lawyer yet.
Okay.
I ain't gonna lie, I prefer not to talk to those guys.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But so I have my eviction lawyer. Let me say that.
Okay.
So now I do have a dedicated eviction lawyer that I use. That took me a minute to get, but he's real thorough. And then outside of that, the team is just the different contractors and laborers that's on the team.
That's awesome, man. It was funny because I was watching a documentary on Warren Buffett. And I thought Warren Buffett had thousands upon thousands of employees just based off of his net worth, based off of his organization. He only has 25 people that work directly with him, and they manage the conglomerate. It's crazy. So you don't really need a big team.
Nah, so again, when you start seeing the guys that are doing this on another level, you realize they're just the face, but it's the people behind them that's really making the thing work. And they believe in the vision.
Yep.
And that's like the struggle, just finding people to believe in the vision and to be patient for it to pay off.
Gotcha.
So that's why I tell people now, like, I used to struggle with wanting to people please or putting people on and like, I'm telling you this gonna pop and you don't see it. Now I'm super appreciative. I hope you don't see it.
Right.
Because now I'm gonna just go to the next person. But if you see it and you understand what we're trying to do, not just for me, but for us as a whole, which is, again, why I have the different teams I have, you come bring your influence, bring your ideas. But now you don't got to figure it out from the ground level because I already been there. Or this person been there, and we're going to plug and play.
So now it's shortcuts because of the experience. Why relive? It's just like having kids, right? And you can appreciate this because you have kids. Sometimes kids want to be hard-headed and they want to do the same exact mistakes that you made and that you're trying to avoid. It's like, why go through all that turmoil when I'm telling you don't do this for this reason and this is the reason why, right?
So experience is the great teacher. However, you got to pick and choose what side of the experience you want.
True. That's true.
You want the good or you want the bad. And that's the difference of, like you said, once you start seeing the different things and seeing the benefits of mentors or people that allow you to be in certain rooms, you like, I'm thinking too small and I'm doing this nut stuff for no reason and I ain't even have to do that.
Yeah.
And like you said, like the state of Philly with the crime and everything that's going on, if you don't get outside of that environment, you don't realize like I'm just sabotaging myself and my community.
So true.
And I get everybody got a different struggle. However, the people that's making money in these communities, they don't look like us. They don't come from where we come from.
No.
So just imagine if they could do it.
And they ain't got to stay there.
But just imagine what you could do knowing that you understand the people and got the resources because you come from it.
Right.
So that's why it's like, yo, like you said, like, you don't got to go beat your head against the wall. Don't do that. I'm trying to take that out. So my thing is with a lot of people that work with me, what took me 8, 9, 10 years to figure out, I'm trying to help you accomplish it in 3.
I love it, man. How can people connect with you?
So through social media, A-Lee Real Estate, send me a DM, reach out to me. We do consultations. First 15 minutes is free. After that, I ain't gonna lie. Like I tell people, I gotta charge you for the time.
Gotta charge for your time.
But I'm gonna give you whatever it is you asking for.
Gotcha.
And then if not, if you a person that you're not local or we can't meet, again, hit the link in my bio. I created a course this year.
Okay.
Teaching you how to invest in real estate while having a 9-to-5. I'm breaking it down from setting up the business, from the LLC, the different things that you're going to need, in addition to how to figure out and strategize what it is you want to do and how to do it in regards to rental properties, flips. And then I'm also teaching you the strategies on how to rehab these properties and what the steps are. And then I break it down on how to get the funding for it, whether you need the loan to buy it and rehab it or whether you need the down payment money. Because like you said, you know about business credit. Right. But what if I told you business credit is even easier when you know what bank to walk into, what credit place they pull from, whether it's TransUnion, Equifax, or Experian, what credit bureau they pull from. And then I'm going to give you the name of the person that does the business application. We don't walk into banks anymore and say, hey, can I speak to somebody or I need to put my... No, I got an appointment when I come into the bank. I'm talking to the manager or I'm talking to the person of the business division. And we have a conversation. They understand what I'm trying to do.
I love that.
And most of the time when you had a conversation with them, they tell you what you need to qualify for the loans. All you need to do is just put it on paper, what you need to qualify, because they give it to you.
Wow, and build a relationship up with them. It's not hard to build a relationship up with someone and just be friendly. They're going to provide you with the information you need.
Listen, and that's what I'm telling you. From there, you thought you just was getting a credit card. Now, like, I did not imagine, like you said, a kid, I lived in Yaton, so you see different walks of life. People that got grass, people that live in apartments, but then you go in the city, you see people that got nice houses, or you see people that live in areas that's a little rougher. So, like, coming from where I come from is like, all right, you see some good, you see some bad, but at the same token, I didn't know you literally could walk into a bank and get $100,000 or get $50,000 or $25,000 just by signing your name on a piece of paper for having good credit. Wow. That's why that good credit is very important. Very important. Listen, I don't care what they say. Don't co-sign for nobody. Don't be maxing out the credit cards. And again, we grow up in a community where it's like you only want one credit card. That's a lie. You need 10 credit cards. And you want to know why you need 10 credit cards? Because each credit card has a purpose, but then each credit card, if they give you a $1,000 limit, you only can spend $100 on that credit card. Yeah. That's why you need 10 of them just to get to the 1,000. Yep. So, then from there, now you building up your credit profile, you showing you trustworthy, and you never maxing out the credit card. That's the worst thing you want to do. But now when I go to the bank and they see I'm basically trustworthy, credit-wise, that's why it's so easy to go into these banks and get the business credit, to invest in your business. So even if you don't want to do real estate, you want to do trucking, you want to open up a daycare, it's the same fundamental play is the same. Yep. Set up the business, have yourself look a certain way on paper. Go get that paper from the bank. Use their money to start your business. Man, he got me motivated. Y'all better click on the link in his bio, take his course, read his book. My man's phenomenal, man. I'm gonna be honest. I came in here, I was a little tired mentally. You energized me, man. I appreciate you, brother. And it wasn't because of this either. I ain't even gonna get them the sponsorship. You really did, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing in the community. And I think you're awesome, man. I think you are an inspiration just based off of everything that you've been able to do. And I wish you nothing but the best, brother. Nah, I appreciate you having me. And again, I just want to be able to show people, look, you don't have to have a rich uncle, rich mom and dad, and you can still be successful. Everybody's not necessarily going to be a rapper, NBA person, or be a millionaire, right? But everybody can reach their stride financially. And I'm telling people the way I know how to do it is through real estate. And if you ask me, that's something that you're going to pass down to your kids. That's something that they can't take away from you once you got it if you take care of it. So, again, I appreciate you for allowing me to discuss it and share this information. And, I mean, if you ever need anything, let me know, man. 'Cause look, we could get some bread together, too.
Hey, man, vice versa, brother. I appreciate you. When this thing blows up, man, you already know, man. We're going to have a party.
Look, I'm a beater. I like those kind of parties. We got to put the suits on.
That's it. Got to put the suits on, brother. I appreciate you. We got planes to catch. We ain't got time for the nonsense.
For sure.